Good morning, my friends. I am so excited to be with you here today. This is our very first AM group coaching session. As we talked about in our last session, I was looking to try to have sessions where you guys were able to be more live engaged. We love the people that we have in here. We've got 7 people. They are active on their own. We have Doug Beamer, who's often engaging with our videos, and Anthony, who's engaging with our videos, and Tiffany, and we're so excited to have every one of you here and getting value out of these lessons to grow your own full-time working writer business and business model. We've been working through the 10 steps of a successful working writer business model. And those 10 steps are everything from like writing your mindset to building your community, developing your craft. We never forget about craft. And remember, you guys always have those free lessons available in the block breakers group as well. So developing your craft, then we're talking about our tips and our tools of the trade. We have our marketing, we have our sales, we have our budgeting, our time, as well as some of the different virtual tools that you can use. We work through it all because the truth is a full-time working writer model is about more than just writing the books. It is about how you can make your living writing the books, discovering what skills that you have that are monetizable, that are part of the working writer model. So today we're doing something really special with you. We're going to be sharing a video with you. Check in on where it's at right now. We may end up sharing it in a little lesser quality than is ultimately going to be uploaded for you to the YouTube group that I had, the YouTube playlist that I had set up for you guys. But we're going to be talking about book launches. And I believe that we have somebody with us here today. Oh no, I hate when that happens accidentally. I click on a thing that I didn't mean to click on. And I end up with like a dual sound going on. So we fixed that. Sorry about that. Anyway, what we have going on today is I'm going to actually be sharing with you the book launch program that TR Nickel Freelancing has for you. Tiffany Nickel is bringing you some really cool stuff. We pre-recorded this, so I'm going to share that video with you. I want to apologize that I didn't have it better edited before this, but at least I've kind of adjusted our sound and we're going through it. I'm going to do share screen for you on that video. And what I want to let you know is that we are here. I am here live with you. So, and I'm able to, because we're doing a pre-recorded video, I can answer any of your comments and questions that you share throughout this video. And as always, we do have a shared bonus value for you. We have a shared resource for you. And at the very end, after our video, I am going to share our weekly challenge as well. So this week, we're tackling book launches. I'm glad that you are here with us. And without further ado, I am going to share our video that we have for you. So let me get this shrunk down for just a second here. So too many tabs, not enough screens. I need to set my other secondary screen up because it is getting to that point where I'm like, oh my gosh, where's the thing that I want? So I literally made this in iMovie and it hasn't fully exported yet. As you can see up here, my little export link is not. So you're watching it when you play it actually in iMovie, it's not always the highest quality, but when it is formally exported and uploaded to YouTube, it will be just a little bit better quality for you. But this will at least give you our video. So here we go, folks. Hey guys, we are going to have a very different kind of coaching session today. Oh, I apologize. There's this awful thing that I think should be like standard in Zoom, where they actually you have to click a special button to make sure that the sound of what you are sharing is actually sharing. So we're going to start that over again. So sorry about that, folks. We are going from the top. I promise we're getting to this video and it's awesome content. You're going to love it. So here we go. Let's go back to our share. We're going to share our movie. And then I have to actually make sure that we are sharing our sound and optimizing our video. We're going to do that for you again. Here we go, guys. So enjoy, and by all means, be sure to share your...
Hey guys, we are going to have a very different kind of coaching session today. We're actually just going to have some coffee together. Hey, there we go. So we are going to be talking about marketing today. This is our marketing week in group coaching. That said, before we even get into marketing, I am joined today by T.R. Nickel of Nickel Freelancing. You can call her Tiffany. I do. But she is amazing. She is my head of communication. So some of you guys may have seen the work that she does and not even known it. So yeah, she follows me around sometimes at shows and like gets all these pictures and makes me do silly things.
The best part of the job.
She does many, many other things. She also measures analytics and understands algorithms and so many things like that. But she has something really special coming, and so I wanted to talk to you guys about that and let her bring some of her really valuable knowledge to you guys. So before we dig in on marketing, I thought you and I needed to kind of talk with our people about what is the difference between marketing, ads, publicity, and sales, because they are not the same thing.
They are not. They're very different. Though they all sound like they're the same thing, they actually have very specific focuses all under the term of marketing, right? What we think of as selling things.
Okay.
So
like, what would you define for marketing? How would you define marketing out of those four terms, if you were to pick marketing itself?
Yeah, marketing, I believe, is to just be targeting an audience. So figuring out who is the best person to really make a sale to within your market. So that would be figuring out the age range, gender, location. Finding that target audience is a big part of actual marketing, because then you know where to put it.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys have been in the indie market for a while, you will probably have heard the term right to market. And that's exactly what Tiffany is talking about, that you need to know who is the age of your reader, what is the average gender of your reader, what is the demographic of your reader, and to really break that down. So what are some of the ways that a person can determine who that audience is?
Well, typically, you start off, especially just within writing. I write myself. I'm an author, and it's really about what do you like and what is your age and what are your demographics first, because this is you. If you're the one creating it, right? You need to figure out first off, who are you as an individual and why are you creating what you're creating. If you're creating like a children's book, well, it's right there in the title. You're going to be looking for children. Now, the age range between that is really based off of how many pictures versus how many words, right? The more words, the older the age group. Less words, more pictures, the younger the age group, right? Just based on educational level, right? If you're writing something more adult, like let's say the Fault Lines, right? That's more darker. We're talking like the 100 Star Trek, those type of things. Well, now we're looking at the other end of things. We're not necessarily discounting anyone under the age of like 18, but it's definitely geared towards a demographic that can watch those shows without some type of parental limitation, right? So when you're creating something darker, you want to really adhere to, okay, well, how old would I be when I started watching these shows? And
Or should have been.
Yeah, I should have been when watching these shows. I censorship was not as big of a thing with me growing up, so I probably read things, watched things that I probably shouldn't have at that age. But it's all a part of understanding, really, okay, what is appropriate. And I feel especially with how communicative, our really people are nowadays. I think it's really easy to gauge, okay, this would be appropriate for someone who's 16, or no, this would be appropriate for someone who's like 20 and older. So I would say, like, at fault, it's more geared towards people 20 and older. So,
it really is. Yeah.
And it's really hard to cut that age gap, like this is it, because technically anyone could be older and read this, but really it's geared to 50, it's 20 to 50 is the age range at what you're looking at, just because of Star Trek fans, how old those are.
Well, and then it's mixed. There's even The Expanse, which is kind of like the series that inspired the stylistic approach I took in that series. It's the audience for The Expanse. It's not 18; it's the 35-year-old audience. It's like and that's kind of like right in the heart of mine. Technically, I'm like 18 to 50, but it's that 35. It's right in the middle of that where I'm tending to find my audience. So once you have so your marketing is finding your audience.
Yeah.
What is publicity?
So oh my gosh, publicity. Blah blah blah. It's more geared towards the personality and the communication of what it is you're trying to sell.
So almost like an awareness.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can get that through everything from your traditional media, which is going to be like your newspaper, your radio, your television spots. If you can get those local morning television spots, great stuff. Quick recommended resource for you guys this week. Katrina Cravy's book, On Air. Really good for helping you guys nail some of those really good, those in-person events on news stations. But yeah, it's like you're making this awareness of your product, in your case probably your book, to like almost a broader market though, right? It's not really as targeted as like your marketing is.
It can't. So really the ideal is to have all of these 4 things really nailed down, so they're all helping each other. But you're right, publicity could literally be a very wide range. It's not really about targeting when it's by itself. It's just about communicating the product. So, just making sure people know that it exists.
And ads. Oh my gosh. There are so many places you can do ads today. So that's its own thing. So ads, you can do them on
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram,
Amazon,
Google,
of course.
Amazon.
So something that you may not know, and I talked about this a little bit in the budget week, when you are getting to those authors who are those 6 and 7 figure a year authors, especially like mid 6 figure a year authors, they're spending 50% of their budget is ads. Just ads.
Specific, I would say probably like 90% of their advertisement is really towards whoever they're selling on, which right now it's Amazon. So, that's the majority where that budget is actually going. Doing ads such on like Facebook, TikTok. Right now, TikTok Shop is like a really big, but now we're kind of dipping into what advertising is, right?
Yeah.
And which is really pushing out that here it is, here's the product, make sure you get it.
Yeah, right? It's not cute, it's direct. It's like a, hey, get the thing.
Exactly. And so, right now, advertising on places where you can buy the thing is what you really should be doing when you're low. I know it's really easy for people to say, oh, well, I want followers, I want likes and things, but what it ends up actually doing is really screwing up the algorithm, because those are bought subscribers, and those aren't actual dedicated followers, which will ruin your retention, your read-through value, and all of that. And so you really just focus on, if you're going to use advertisements, I recommend just focusing on the ones where you actually can sell your product.
I love that. So, and then last but not least, selling. It's the conversion.
Yes. A lot of people would say that advertising and selling are very close, in which they are.
Yeah.
Advertising is a direct sale,
Mhm.
where selling is a push in your face type of thing. And
Yeah.
typically it's in person.
Yeah.
Where you're really putting the product in the person's hands.
Mhm.
Think about when you think of a salesperson, you're thinking retail, you're thinking insurance, you're thinking money, right?
Mhm.
People who are trying to sell you a service or sell you a product. And they're really direct. They're calling you. They know you by name. They have your contact information, or they're right there in front of you, showing you what it is they're trying to sell. So
And we're going to talk next week. So this is really our marketing week. We're going to talk next week about all of the sales avenues that are available to you, and ones that you probably didn't even think, like, oh, I can sell there. Like, there's so many more than you realize. There's direct, there's broad, there's or wide, there's in person, and then each of those can be broken down into so
Into
many
even
their
more,
own many
yeah.
subcategories as well. But when you have a product and you own that intellectual property of your product, of your book, like, there's, like, you want to twist it as many ways as you can to gear toward as many of those different audiences that you find and the ways that they want to consume your stories. So we've talked about marketing versus publicity versus sales versus ads. And really all of these four things together, what do they equal? You have a great word that you use for
they
this.
funnel all to social, commerce.
Social commerce.
Social commerce. I was going to say a different word. But it does. It all leads down to social commerce. And what social commerce is the selling of products through social avenues, right? Such as TikTok, Facebook, word of mouth. And word of mouth has been the tried and true way that not only authors, but everyone makes, like most companies make the majority of their sales, is just through talking to each other, saying, oh, well, I use this product. Oh, maybe I should use this product. Or I read that book. Let's read this book. And that's why book reviews, especially on social platforms, do so well in terms of gearing people towards your books, is because of the fact that if someone else likes it, well, the chances are maybe they'll like it because they follow this person.
So there's a different kind of level we have to overcome as authors. Like when somebody's looking at your book, you know, you can walk by a piece of art and you can say, cool, I love that piece of art, I want it on my wall. A book, you have to give them more. You've got to give them more. And there's so it's things like those reviews that you're talking about. It's things like, you know, having good quality covers, having, you know, other people that can recommend it. All of those things can play in. And when it comes to the social commerce aspect, what you really want to do when that book is first hitting the market is you want it to come out strong.
Yes.
And that is where your new product kind of comes in, your new service, which is your book launches. Yes. So talk to us about, because at the end of the day, yes, you're going to have your continuing sales, but every one of those books, when it comes out, you want it to come out strong. Because you can use that marketing for the life of the book. For the life of the book is what you get when you actually are putting it out strong. So when you hit those great rankings and all the stuff. So walk us through what is a book launch? What is the season of a book launch? What is the cycle of it?
Absolutely.
Talk to us about that.
So, you know, to start, really, to just show and explain how important really getting your books out there on any type of social platform or word of mouth, any publicity really, is that 71% of shoppers are all social commerce shoppers. So that means that they're buying from recommendation because they saw it on social media, because they saw an ad about it, because someone talked about it, right? 71% of all shoppers. That's a pretty crazy statistic, and explains why social media has easily become one of the top contenders in terms of retail, right? That's why a lot of people are like, oh, stores are closing. It's because everything's done online now, right? Or at least a majority of it. right?
Love it or hate it.
Love it
it's
or
just
hate
the
it.
reality.
It's there, right? And it's amongst all generations. Just this year, like 2023, the social commerce market actually hit over $1.3 trillion.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
Trillion. You guys.
Like that's.
I was gonna say I think that's more than our national budget, but I can't keep up with our national budget anymore. I'm not sure if that's a true statement anymore. But it's still a really flipping high number.
It's a very high number. So that just goes to show you that being online and being present on it is really such an important thing. And I know a lot of people hesitate because it's really hard to market yourself. And I speak as an author myself who does marketing as a business. It's really hard for me to market myself, even though I know what I should be doing, even though I know the statistics and the algorithms. It's very different when you yourself are having to do it, right? And that's why I created my book launch, was because I understand how difficult it is just to talk about yourself and put yourself out there, while also then having the background of, well, this is exactly what we should be doing.
So it's so hard. I bet you guys, so as you guys have been working through figuring out your own full-time working writer model this year, I am sure that there are some of you who have these skills that you bust tail doing so well for other people that you don't do for yourself. I mean, like, literally, like, we are the worst. We're the worst as authors. We always put ourselves
at that bottom of the barrel.
Oh, priority client, me.
Exactly. That's it right there.
So, all right. So talk us through. So let's imagine whether you're doing it for you or you're doing it for one of your clients. So what are the steps? What's the cycle?
So the main thing is to understand that marketing never really has an off season. It just changes depending on what you're doing within it, right? So there's really three main phases within marketing a book launch, right? There's the attraction phase, right? Or otherwise we could say it as the spark, right? The thing that initially draws people towards you, towards your accounts, towards your product, your books, right? Now, this is the longest of the phase, right? Because this is really gearing towards building those connections, what allows people to truly understand you, understand how you write, what you write. They take interest in you as the individual author, as well as your books, but not just the standalone novel you're writing or just the series, right?
Well, how many of us have had that friend who's like, they never post, they never reach out, they never email, they never nothing, right? And then it's like, boom! Oh, but I'm doing this, or oh, boom!
Yes.
Oh, but I have this, buy this, and
Right.
it's like there's no communication, and now you add to the level of the people that don't know you, like.
Yeah, it's a
why
lot
do they
harder
wanna do that.
Yeah, it's a lot harder for them to grip on or want to care, want to dig into something that they have no idea what it is. So that attraction phase typically is anywhere between like 6 months to a year, really. So it is the longest process of any marketing. Now, you don't necessarily need that time when you're strategically going after your audience, though, right? You know who you want to target. You know how you want to dive in. You only need a few months, maybe even sometimes a few weeks, to really just start building up that attraction, creating that little spark before, moving into what is phase 2, which is the promotional phase, otherwise the ignition, right?
Okay.
We're starting to turn it on. We're getting them geared towards your book, specifically the one that would be launching within that time period, right? Now, this phase is really all about the book, right? The spark is you, the book is, or the ignition phase is really about the book, right? Because this is what we're launching, right? This is what we're sending out there. So the important thing with this phase is gearing towards that audience. What's going to hook them? What's going to grab their attention? What's going to catch the eye when they're bombarded with 1,000 social media posts every day, right? And as someone who works in social media, the drowning of content that's out there is overwhelming. And there's a lot of discussion you can listen to any social media podcast, talk to any social media marketer. They're going to say that there's a lot of debate going on right now about the drowning. Do we give into the drowning and just drown along with them, make it worse, make it a harder problem? Or do we pull back and really only put the quality stuff out there? I know where I line, and I know where some of my other fellows line, but the thing is really what works best for your company, your brand, your style, right? That's what it really comes down to in the end.
True. And I mean, we've adjusted together, even just working together, and like, okay, I had started this day in the life thing, and I was like, it's like, you know what, I don't need to do that every day.
Yeah.
You know? So we're like, really, you actually look at the statistics and the algorithms of the different platforms and say, this is how often this one should receive content.
Yes.
This is how often this one should receive content. And it's not the same.
It's not the same. It is different for everyone. What people want to see on each of them is also different. It's very funny when you're checking your most viewed posts and they're all different. You're like, how is that possible? They're all the same quality and they're all around the same topic, but it's very different depending, because one, the age groups on that are going to be different. The gender in which are watching, your demographic that are watching those videos are going to be different. So it's very interesting to see exactly how different content works on different platforms, and you just have to be mindful. And it takes a few months to really understand what is going to work for your brand on those different platforms, and you kind of just have to write through it. But then once you start to see the patterns, that's when you know this is the contents for this platform, that content's for Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
And so we've got our Spark is Us, our Ignition is our book, our product.
Yes.
Then
So-
what?
So, but between phase 2 and phase 3, there is the incredible, the emotional, the wonderful book launch moment where here it is. People can buy it. The pre-order's over. It's time to click on that shopping cart and get it in people's hands, right? That is one day, one momentous day within the 3 phases that you really just get to be an author, right? This is solely about you and your creation, how happy you are it is to be in people's hands, or going to be in people's hands. That day is just all about the emotional roller coaster that it is, right? Even those who don't want to be emotional on social media, you don't have to be like, oh, this is my you can just be really happy and glad. Exactly. Don't think about it as really any type of marketing or strategy. It is really just about you and that day and that book, right?
I have to tell you, it's so interesting. Back when indie publishing and became more and more accessible, and I remember it used to be. This is back when it was called Create Space. For those of you who were around for Create Space, which preceded Kindle, on Amazon. That was the Amazon publisher at the time, and they worked pretty fast. Like, it was basically you would hit go and it was ready in like 5 minutes. It was like, okay, publish. And so I literally would wait up, both for my own books as well as for some clients I was publishing at the time. It would be like 11:55 on the day before release day, and I'm waiting to click go. And it was so it was exciting, and you get to watch the ranks start to flow in. And remember when the bots used to crawl every hour? That was nice. Now it's like you're lucky if they crawl every once a day, right? But it's like, so your rank would constantly be climbing, and that excitement is very. It's magnetic. People want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and they want to join in the day. They want to share the fact that they got your book. They want to be a part of your emotional journey, because that when you're reading a book, it's an emotional experience. You're scared if you're reading a horror book. You're happy if you're reading like one of those cheesy books where it's like everyone gets what they wanted. It's a win-win-win. The whole point about being an author is coming across with the story, right? And readers are there to absorb that story, and so they're part of that day with you.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you've got your release date. Is that different from like your next phase, or is that?
Yes. So,
okay.
Yeah, phase 3, which is really just take off. You're orbiting, right? This is because once a book is out there, it's out there for life, and that doesn't mean you stop talking about it. It's just orbiting, right? So, as you're creating new content and you're entering that attraction phase again, your book that had already launched is now in the follow-up phase, which just means that every time it circles, you're continuing to cycle it in with your other content, right? It's never going away. It's not going to enter that attraction phase again. It stays in orbit, just circling around you as you're continuing to launch all these other books, all these other products up in the air. So as it hits that follow-up, it's just continuing to mention it, continuing to bring it up, putting those testimonies out there, letting people see the reviews, really just keeping people engaged with the fact that this book exists as you're doing the attraction phase for the next project you're working on.
Love that. So it's, is there something that, let's go back to the beginning. So like in the spark phase, I'm thinking some of the questions that people would have, especially because socials can be difficult, and there's pros and cons to socials, right? So I'm in that attraction phase. It's supposed to be all about me. They're supposed to like me, the author.
Yes.
How would our coaching group do this? How would I do this? Where we're like, we don't feel like we're just braggadocious on there, or we don't feel like we're just like
it's all about me,
right? Like, how do you what is your what are some of your tips that you would share for like how you make this sincere and but at the same time
strategic.
You're sincere but strategic. I like that terminology.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing and foremost, any streamer, any YouTuber, any personality, influencer that exists on social media would say that there's always somewhat of a mask or a barrier between who you really are and who it is people see on the screen. But the dangerous part of that though is you don't want to be someone you're not, right? Because then it comes across as disgenuine. Really, it's just you have to doll yourself up. Sometimes you can show them. I've done so many. My best videos sometimes are just me with no makeup on. I'm panicking because I haven't hit my word count for the day, and I want to express my struggles, right? Some people really enjoy that, but there needs to be a balance of that, right? That's super genuine. Like, there's no filter there. But to be strategic towards actually pushing, right, towards, these phases is really putting forward your best foot. Right, so be the best version that you could possibly be, but still being genuinely you. Right.
Okay.
And how you do that is really just make yourself look presentable, right? And not necessarily in looks, but I mean in quality of content, right? So don't put out there just like anything. You want to put out there something that's really a purposeful thing, right? So if you're a self-help book writer, right? For example, talk about self-help and how you've read these books, how writing these things help you, right? That type of genuine quality content that brings, some uplifting face to what you're posting. And you can have that personal side, but this type of content is really geared towards the phase and why people should invest in you as a writer, why they should care about when you do eventually publish a book. So that's
awesome in the spark phase. So I think that the question that I would hear, so in the ignition phase, and really even all the way up through that launch day. So the thing that I hear pushback most often from authors is, nobody wants to keep. I'm not going to keep posting about this. Nobody wants to keep seeing this. Nobody wants to see. I'm not going to just keep talking about my book. So that would be if somebody brings that challenge to you, what's your answer to that one?
Well, it just means that you have to change up the content that you're posting. So that's why there's a lot of different templates out there. I've created some. We're going to be utilizing a lot of them in the near future here, but it's creating quotes. And then maybe people who have the beta readers who have read it, ARC readers, talking about your processes, showing content of when you were writing the book. It's variety, right? So a lot of times you're right. If you continuously put the same thing, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, people aren't going to want to buy your book because they're like, shut up about it already. It's already in my cart. They're like, I don't want to hear about it again. But if you change up the content where it's not just saying buy my book, it's just talking about the book, that's a lot different. It's not sales, right? We're not selling anything within this phase. It's promoting it. It's advertising it. So again, those differences that we talked about between advertising and sales, this is exactly that. We're not pushing them towards buying it. We're advertising that it's going to be for sale in the future.
Well, the other thing that I've talked with Kim Rodney, who you guys have met on the mindset episode that we had earlier this year.
I love that one. Yeah, I watched that one all the way through.
It's
twice.
it's so good.
Yeah.
She's so amazing, you guys. She's still giving you that that model for free, by the way. So don't forget. But one of the things that, like, you know, often when you're a writer, you're working from home, right? So you're surrounded by, like, you might have kids there, you might have your spouse there, you might have your cat there. It was like,
That's for me.
as Bond. You're and like the people around you, maybe your cats don't. They sometimes want to sit on your hands while you're typing on the keyboard, but the people around you have heard it. They've heard it 1,000 times. They probably have your pitch memorized. They know the things. Like, my family makes fun of me. You guys can make fun of me too. Now I'm gonna like totally shatter this glass for you. And next time I'm on a video, because every time I'm like, "Hey friends, hey friends," and I gotta tell you, I have tried to train that out, but that's me.
Mine's "Hey lovely folks."
Yes!
So I say that in
Yeah,
every
okay.
video. "Hey lovely folks." It's just a little greeting, you know. That draws people in,
It's just what people. It's what's natural. But the people around you, they might be sick of you.
Yeah, they're like, "Stop saying this already."
They might really be. But remember, we've talked about how much is out there. That's not the same experience that everybody online is having when you're putting a lot out there.
Yeah, and there's also statistics that basically 1 out of 3 of your videos is only going to get watched. So if you put 3 videos out there that are exactly the same, like you may have only changed the background or 1 or 2 words, through all of your followers or through any of the non-followers that observe your content, they're only really going to watch 1 of those 3 videos. So reusing content isn't as crazy as what it would feel like. Your friends and family might think it, but you're not because you know they're already going to buy your book. You're not selling to them. You're not advertising them. You're not promoting to them. You're promoting to people that don't know you, that haven't heard from you, and you're trying to gain their attraction or trying to promote your book. So reusing content, it may feel like in your head you're like, "Oh my God, I posted this 3 times, 1 per week, and it's the same thing." That's perfectly okay. In fact, that's a good thing to do because of the fact that the likelihood someone's seen it is very little.
So we've addressed the challenge from the spark phase. We've addressed the challenge from the ignition phase. So speaking on the launch phase, so we're supposed to be genuine and excited and bring that emotion to the audiences on that release day.
Yeah.
We've all had them if you've written more than 1 book, but if you haven't, you've got to be coaching me. But most of us have had that book that it came out of the gates, you did all the right things, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't land. It just, it's like it never took off. And so you're on that day, and I'll tell you guys a little side story. When At Fault came out, let me tell you, I did more investment on that book than any other book I'd ever done in my entire career. That at that time was like a 26-year career or something. And the release day, there was this thing where I had a pre-order that then they returned all the books because it was 61 days. And it's like 60 days. That's what you have.
Yeah.
I didn't know this rule. I've learned since. So there's nobody that got that email that was like, "Oh yes, I remember buying this book 2 months ago. Let me go back and re-buy it." No, those basically lost sales. So I sold 83 copies of this book. And let me tell you, I was distraught. I was just like absolutely a mess. Now it turned out I had come out of nonfiction and moved into fiction and realized that the strategies were completely different. The book is now doing incredibly well, but it didn't on release day. So I was really upset, and I just didn't go on socials that day.
Yeah.
But what would you suggest? What's a strategy when you're like, okay, it's here, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing today? How do you deal with that challenge during that launch phase? Yeah.
something to really remind yourself when you're doing this, right? We're all business owners, right? Being indie authors, it's really hard to separate yourself from the business when it is such a personal thing, such as your written work, right? We all have personal and intimate relation to our books, right? That we're very possessive over our work, and as someone who works in social media, who is on social media, you have to be able to separate yourself. And you have to realize that today, even as a business owner, this is a huge, monumental success for yourself. This is an achievement that less than 10% of the world.
It's even lower than that.
Yeah,
I think it's like 6% or something.
It's something very low can actually achieve what you just did. So take that as a win, that you are above average in the fact that you even finished this thing, that it can be in someone's hands. So even if you're not having like the most stellar pre-order, you're not having the most stellar launch day in terms of a business owner, you are having one of the most immaculate experiences as an author and as a person who has a dream that is so unlikely for people to actually accomplish or actually get into that career. So on that day especially, the day after, we can dig into analytics and we can look at what went wrong in the attraction or promotional phase.
Yeah.
But that day is not about you being a business owner. It's about you being an author and achieving a dream.
Well, and if you're bringing that positive personal energy, and I'll
you
tell
can
you,
turn it around.
Yeah, you can, because and I know people who literally don't look that day. I look.
Yeah.
I look because I'm capturing the screen grabs the whole time as it's climbing ranks. So
people like to see that too.
Yeah, and I like to share it. But I do know people who don't look that day specifically because they're like, I don't want to be in the business today. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I can understand emotionally how maybe that's easier for a person to celebrate. But if you have that high energy, my daughter-in-law recently, she had a Kickstarter she was following for a picture book series that she really wanted to see happen. And Kickstarters are a whole other thing we'll talk about later in the year. That's a whole different word.
That's a beast right there.
Right? Yeah, beast is right.
Yeah.
But she had this one, and my daughter-in-law supported it. She didn't know this person. This wasn't a personal. She actually wanted to support this product. And the woman who launched this Kickstarter was like, hey guys, I'm super excited. And she launches this Kickstarter, and then it wasn't doing well. And throughout, like, her energy in her own, like, socials started to be so negative that, I mean, I'm sure there were some pity backers that she got, but really it was just, it was sad, and people weren't attracted to that. So you have to find...
The law of attraction is something that is real, right? And it a lot of people view it as like speculation or spiritual, whatever. But the law of attraction is very much used in marketing because like attracts like. It's not even just, it's not about a spiritual thing, it's psychology, right? If you want something that's positive and fun and loving, well, then you're going to look at something that's positive, love, and funny. You're not going to go towards someone you know is depressive, know it has a negative spirit. You're going to go after the thing that what you most like. As children in psychology, psychology, by the way, and social media is so intertwined. You should know psychology if you really want to dig into the aspects of why someone likes a video and why they don't.
And video has made it even more, but like I remember doing back when marketing online was still a little bit more still. I mean, now it's pretty video centric today.
Yes.
I had a color chart and the different psychology of the different colors, and there are certain red tones that make a person hungry.
There's a reason.
And when you're hungry, you want to consume.
Yeah.
And consuming is shopping. And so it's like they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much.
Yeah.
We could just do a whole thing on psychology.
We really could in the intertwining of what it really does for you as a business owner, but even as authors, we utilize color theory within our own writing. Whether you think you do or not, you do. There's a reason why you use colors for certain characters, and it's because that's how you perceive their personalities. It's super insane.
Oh,
but
totally.
It's natural for our brains to think like that because our brains think in color. And it's pretty fascinating when you get into the detail of why did you
Very
create what you
interesting.
write.
And it's interesting because I think of like some of my characters who've gone through arcs of depression, and I do have them in more muted tones, and then I have like this super like jubilant character, and he wears like kind of outlandish outfits, and oh my gosh, oh, she's just like broken the glass for me. Glass shattered. Oh my gosh,
right?
That's crazy.
When you read, so I took literary courses like all throughout high school, and literary fiction is like one of my favorite things in the world to really dive in, like why women have their hair tied back in books and what that kind of signifies of like repression and believing that. And
I'm good, I promise.
You can even talk about like containing an emotion or like holding back stress. Like hair for a woman is very an emotional thing, and like even depending your culture, your race, that it can mean different things for them too. So
how many of you have gone through a bad breakup
and
you
cut
your hair or
terrible memories?
Yeah,
exactly. So it's very fascinating when you read a book and you have like the psychology thing down, you know how to look at literary science, and you're reading a book and you're like, I know a lot about this author just by reading their book, and you wouldn't know it as just a regular reader. But
does it make you scary to have her read your books?
Yeah,
I'm like,
unless you want me to really know who you are as a person, don't let me read your book. But no, there's a reason why, as authors, we write the way we do. And it's the same as marketing. There's a reason why businesses use certain colors, use certain slogans, because they know what their target is, and they want to utilize that natural psychology that are the way our brains think as masses to try to obtain your attention and try to get the consumerism out of you.
So we have talked about today the 4 different areas of social consumerism, which, am I saying that correct? Social consumerism. So there's your marketing, your publicity, your advertisement, and your sales. And even though they're similar, they're
commerce.
Commerce.
Consumerism. I was like, consumer.
Sure,
commerce.
They're related.
They're like,
all right. So anyway, so you've got these 4 things that feed into the social commerce. We've talked about the phases of the book launch. So we've got your spark is about you, your ignition's about the product, the book. Then you've got your actual launch, and that's about the emotion. And then you've got your actual orbiting, where you're like, okay, now you're in cycle, and you're gonna pop back in at the next spark. So all awesome. I know we're gonna get wrapped up here. Our bonus recommended resource today was the Katrina Cravey on air. Check that out. Great for getting some media. And we like to offer a bonus value every week, of course, in our coaching. So I would love if you could share with our coaching group what it is that you give us a little more detail on exactly what it is you have coming out and what kind of a bonus value you are going to be offering to all of them.
Absolutely. So with my book launching services, there's really 3 different stages in which I assist people with their book launches. One being the hands-on, which is, the higher value, because I'm basically managing it for you. I'll take care of 2 of the platforms for you, help you create and edit the content, have the posting schedule, get the templates, and not only that, once everything's said and done, you then get the value of, the self-paced, template, where then moving forward with every other launch after that, you have everything in your tool belt to do it yourself. Otherwise, if you want to hire back on, you absolutely can for a discounted price as well. And then there's the, coaching consultation phase, right? It's really, I'm there to help guide you through your process of doing it, giving you the templates that you need to create the content that you need, giving you advice on how to edit or how to make something more appealing, and really just walking you through the stages versus doing it for you. And then there's the group or self-paced coaching, where I basically have 8 videos, like there's multiple templates, and every 2 weeks you basically get a follow-up on what to do next, right? And this is all throughout 3 packages. It's a 2-month real process. So it gives you enough of the attraction phase where this is what we need to basically grab their attention before we jump into the promotional. And then we give you basically a week of follow-up, so that way you can kind of figure out how it is you just continue to talk about it even though it's after that launch day.
Very cool.
So,
So
yeah.
this new process,
Mm-hmm.
it's, what's it called? Is it just like called book launch? Is it
Yeah.
called like, I'm sorry, I was like, I'm not, should I be saying
No,
it? Right?
yeah,
I know
no,
I
it's-
should be giving it a title.
Yeah,
or,
it's the Nickel book launch, you know.
Okay.
So it's through my company, Nickel Freelancing. So if you are interested, you can go to my website, nickelfreelancing.com. Nickel like the coin, you know. Try to be saving you those nickels, but that's a terrible joke. But
well,
no,
you gotta do that's
Yeah.
what you got to work with. We
Yeah,
gotta work with our names, right?
yeah.
So,
But yeah, no, it's really just there to help people who haven't really done the whole social, who don't understand the algorithms, because it is a very complex thing and they're ever changing. They do not stay the same. Instagram alone has changed a few times through, like in the last few months. So those type of things are constant, ever evolving, and you know sometimes we need that extra help to really understand what it is we're looking at when we're looking at those analytics. So.
And I'll be using Nickel Freelancing to do my book launch of my Galilean Expedition,
Very excited.
the premiere novel in that series, which so we'll be doing April and May and launching at the end of May.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to experiencing it and seeing what that's like. And you're going to give some kind of a special discount just for you guys being in here. So you can, when you check that out, you can say, hey, I'm a coaching client, with Red Rights Books, and Tiffany will hook you up with a special discount just for you guys.
Yeah, it'll be 15% off, like the price, and so that way you guys can get a little bit saving. 15% is what I give for the repeating.
Wow.
So
cool.
Because you guys are part of such an amazing program, I want you guys to be able to take advantage of basically getting everything set up, and that way you can just continue to have multiple orbits that's orbiting around you. Yeah.
So this video you guys are actually going to be catching not live because I'm going to be gone. So when you're watching this, I don't want that to deter you from leaving comments. We're posting this in our group, and so post those comments. It just might be a day before I or Tiffany is able to get back to you and answer them, but bring your questions. Bring your questions about the face. Bring your questions about social commerce. I almost said consumerism again. About social commerce. Bring your questions about the different types of reaching your audience. But this has all been about marketing, and specifically with a focus on launching our books into the markets that we are writing for. And Tiffany, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Do you have any final closing thought you want to share with our coaching group?
You guys love what you do, right? And you love writing and the process of it, and your work is going to show that love. And if you put it out there and you give it the good intention, it's going to receive the good intention back. So just keep that in mind as you're creating social content, and remembering that you're doing this because you love it. So people will love it and back.
Very good. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Be gloriously human and have a great week.
Bye.
Okay, guys. All right, so we are at the end of that little share with y'all. So if you saw me looking down at all, that's when I was sharing some of the comments as I was following along in my on the video on Facebook. So I was just sort of watching it there to be able to comment. It made it easier for me to get all of those things in there. I want to let you know I am super excited to be doing a Nickel freelancing launch for my Galilean Expedition series, and I will report the results back in here. This was our very first morning session with our group coaching, and I'm really excited about everything that we've covered in group coaching so far this year. It has been amazing. We're almost through the cycle. So next week is our 10th video. Next week is going to be our sales, and we are going to break down all of the imaginable sales avenues that you could possibly brainstorm. I want as many of you here live as possible. So first of all, I'm going to be sending out some reminders. I'm going to be sending you guys like updates of everything that we've had so far. I really want you guys in here. Why? Because in addition to everything that I'm going to be sharing for possible sales avenues, I want you guys to share what your ideas are. I would love to brainstorm together. We are going to open up this session to a wider audience. We're going to actually be opening it up to like the public, and this is going to be a free one. We're also going to be offering a package of all of these videos to everybody. That first 10 sessions, we're going to be offering that out just because if any of you guys know somebody who could benefit from this learning, from the 10-step model to your full-time working writer career, I would like you to be able to share that. And I'm going to give a little bonus to anybody who has a friend or fellow author or fellow writer who would like to join us for the rest of the year. You're going to get something a little bit special from that. So that's all coming to you. Super excited about the launch. I've shared many comments here in the live video, so when you watch it back, you should be able to have most of those links. Every week we have a challenge. Our bonus, our recommended resource this week was Katrina Cravey's book, On Air. You can see that in the comments on the live video. Our bonus value is you get 15% off of the TR Nickel or the Nickel Freelancing book launch. And that means that you can actually get a launch from her. You could do that the DIY launch package from her for only $340. You guys, you're going to make more than $340 on that book launch if you are running it and following all of her rules. So it's going to pay for itself. So to work so hard on a launch, on a book, and pour your heart and soul into it, and not then also pour your heart and soul into your launch is sad, because people aren't going to read the book that you worked so hard to create. And the point of our art is to share it. So I highly recommend you take advantage of that amazing discount that we have exclusively in this group of 15% off of a Nickel Freelancing book launch. And she has those 3 tiers. So of course you can go all the way up to that high level tier as well. And that high level tier, so you're going to get $300 off of that high level tier as a Red Writes Books Mastermind member. So I highly recommend it. I'm excited to use it. I'm probably going to use it for like every book going forward. Why? Because it's flipping awesome. So that's your bonus value this week. I cannot say enough about what a value that really is. Your last thing is, of course, every week we have a weekly challenge. In relating to the challenge that we have, and in relating very specifically to what we had going on, speaking about book launches, we sort of talked about 5 things. We talked about the spark, the ignition, the launch, the takeoff, and the orbit. And so the spark was all about you. So I want you to do this. Your challenge is to write down 5 things. This is a brainstorm that you can bring hopefully to your own launch one day. So that first part, spark, is all about you. So I want you to write 1 line about your process, or why this book that you are creating is important to you. That second step, ignition, is all about the book. So I want you to write one sentence about why this book is going to impact its market. That third stage is all about the emotional experience. So I want you to write one sentence about the emotional impact to you of this story. Like, how did it change you? How how did it make you reflect? What are you excited about? Remember, that's supposed to be a positive emotional experience. So write that one sentence about the positive emotional experience. That next step is takeoff. Takeoff is all about that follow up as the book is still new and it's launching, it's on its way to orbit, right? So that takeoff, remember, is all about sharing reviews, sharing rankings and whatnot. So obviously you're not going to have ranking material yet. I want you to write down 5 names of people that you can directly ask, who you can count on to provide you a review. So that's what I'd like you to do in that part of the challenge. And that fifth challenge, that fifth step is orbit. That's when kind of you get to leave the book alone while it's orbiting, but you're going to revisit it every once in a while, cyclically, just like it's in orbit. Oh, it's passing by. It's time to revisit that book. So I want you to write down 3 times. I was going to say 5, but I'll make it simple. 3 times that it would make sense for you to revisit that book in your marketing. I can tell you that one of those times is always going to be on the anniversary of its release. A second time, think about a day that makes sense regarding what the content of your story is. My Broken Fault Line series, Earth Day, is that day. Earth Day makes sense to visit it. It's a very Earth-centric sort of story. So that's a day that it makes sense. And then think about something bonus, like what's one thing that like it makes sense to you, the writer, to revisit that story. And if you generically can't come up with that, then just go with a holiday. Whether it's Black Friday or Christmas, you want to have a sales time that it makes sense to revisit. Or maybe it's the new year. Hey guys, it's the beginning of the year. Let me revisit all of the books that I have available at the beginning of the year. So you can kind of replace that fifth one with either a holiday sale at Black Friday, Christmas, or New Year's. So one more time, your recommended resource, Katrina Cravey on Air. Your bonus value, 15% off a nickel freelancing book launch. And your weekly challenge, I want you to write down things for those 5 areas of launch. You're going to write about why the book matters to you. You're going to write about how the book is going to impact the market. You're going to write about how it is a positive emotional experience with that book. You're going to think of 5 names that you can ask to review that book and count on them. And on the takeoff, you're going to come up with 3 times that when that book is in orbit, you are in the orbit phase, you're going to come up with 3 times that you could cyclically visit that book. So that is your weekly challenge, to do that for the book that you are currently working on. That's all I got for you guys. I kept you 5 minutes late, so I apologize for that. Have a wonderful week. And as always, be gloriously human. I've been enjoying this time that we've had together. Bye-bye.